Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400, the Midlands, around the world on the iHeartRadio app, broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line, always here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got you covered. The website, put the .com on it. Doggone it, that's ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Head over there, a little bright for the screen. Head over there, though. Hang out with us and have a good time as we get into week one of the college football campaign. Text line, phone line, again, always available. I mean that literally. Like you say, well, what do you mean always? I mean always. You're listening to the podcast always. You're in your backyard listening to the show on a Saturday always. You're in the car, don't text us, but when you get where you're going, hey, hit us up. We always check it, and we love spending time with you. 803-450-0086. All right, so your Clemson Tigers will be heading over to Atlanta to take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on Monday, which meant today in Clemson technically was a Monday, although today it is a Wednesday. I know how confusing that is, and I thought it was a funny moment when Clemson defensive coordinator Wes Goodwin spoke with the media and brought that very thing up. He said, hey, it's good to see you guys on a Monday. I know it's a Wednesday in the rest of the world, but typically Mondays when we get a chance to hear from coaches and players to find out their thoughts on the upcoming matchup. But instead, it's a Wednesday because the Tigers play Labor Day night in Atlanta, which I've got to say, like if you think about the run that Clemson has been on in recent years, since, say, the 2015, the first berth in the college football playoff for Clemson, if you kind of go back in the archives of Clemson history and fandom, there were several venues in which most of you had never been to before. And then you had some fortune that maybe when, say, Clemson beat Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, maybe you had been previously when they took on Ohio State, or maybe you had been previously when they faced West Virginia. But again, in a venue to have a chance to go play for a national title, no, you really had not been in that scenario. So you've been to the Orange Bowl. You've been to the Fiesta Bowl. You've been to the Cotton Bowl now. You've been to the Sugar Bowl. I mean, venues that were otherwise prior to the college football playoff kind of off limits just by default. Just didn't work out. Not necessarily that Clemson ever qualified, but even if they did, the odds that you ended up there was pretty slim. But the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is a bowl that for so many of you was kind of the postseason bowl for Clemson. It was a place that, you'd go to and you'd say, it's a good season, maybe not a great season, but then Chick-fil-A and the Peach Bowl worked their way into becoming a Big Six Bowl. Now there's more significance, but you had yet to be in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now the downfall, or the sad side of that, and it is a small violin I'm playing here, is the fact that only 40,000-ish, 45,000 people are going to be in the building. Of course, we spoke with Gary Stokin, the executive director of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, or president as well, I believe. CEO and president, maybe the better name. But anyway, we spoke with Gary just after the ACC kickoff here on the program and talked about the situation with that. And I know many of you would love that venue to be wide open, but Georgia Tech, as the home team, gets to make the call. And so that's the way it'll be set up on Monday. And that'll be the second game played there that weekend, or this weekend coming, as, of course, Georgia will take on Oregon, We talked about that one. We also talked about Ohio State and Notre Dame yesterday here on the program. So today, Clemson met with the media, from KJ Henry to Wes Goodwin. Got a chance to hear from Justin Maskell, and you get a chance to hear from Linda. She says, "Hi, Swanee." Hello, Linda. Thanks for hanging out with us. Again, like, share, subscribe. So here is some of, and I'm going to do the best that I can to pull this for you without major issue, as, of course, we are back trying to do the show live. I'd like to do it every day. There are just going to be some days it's not going to work. But, again, rolling the show for you live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. But KJ Henry, a leader on Clemson's defensive front, was asked about Georgia Tech coming into this season, and more specifically on their quarterback and what he expects to see from Sims on Monday.
His ability to throw and run, I think that's kind of what the game has come to nowadays. Dual threat quarterbacks that not only just running the ball, but have a great, placement on the ball, very accurate. And that's what he brings to the game, one of the best in the country. Very fast, very elusive. The second you think you have him, you probably don't. He's really good at, having that ability to get out the pocket and make a negative play a positive one.
KJ Henry there, he makes a negative play a positive one. Of course, I mentioned the venue. Here's what Henry had to say about playing in those neutral site contests.
They are so much fun. For the majority of every team, this is like the only time you will get to play in the NFL stadium for a lot of us players. So anytime you get that opportunity, you have to take it for what it is and really just enjoy every moment of it. I know I'm very excited. This is a new stadium. I'm really excited to play in this one, in this environment. But yeah, I think for everybody, just guys getting to travel. I wish we could bring the whole team. Obviously, it being an in-conference game, that's not the case. But definitely will not take this one for granted at all. Anytime you get to kind of step out of the natural environment you're used to and just get to see new things and new experiences, it's always awesome.
KJ Henry was also asked about just, what it was like last season going up against this Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket team that I think it's fair to say we all can agree it was surprising how well Georgia Tech played Clemson in Death Valley.
It was a dogfight. I remember that for sure. They played a great game, kept it close, kept it interesting, and I just remember, that was a scrappy bunch, and you got a lot of those guys who have returned, who from their perspective felt like they obviously should have won that game, and that they were left a little short, and that's the mindset that we understand that they're coming in with. But for us, it's the same way. We felt like we should have played a lot better. And no matter the circumstances, lightning delay, whatever they may be, both teams have to go through them. And so we have to be better for whatever happens. And in that situation, obviously knowing the first game, there's going to be hiccups. That's what's coming with it. And being the guys who kind of get to play later, Coach Sweeney's advice to us is learn from other people's mistakes. As we saw people play last Saturday, and we'll see a couple games before we get to play. Let's just learn from those and try and minimize as many mistakes as possible. The goal for us is having game one being our worst game of the season, and we grow from there. But with that being said, we want it to be the best worst game possible. So
KJ Henry there talking about this team and their growth. Again, you never want to peak too soon. That's kind of one of the things that Dabo Swinney does focus on with this team, is that every week you should get better so that you peak right at the precipice of the college football playoff. On Twitter, at Clemson Sports, Instagram, the same. Go follow us today and help us grow, especially on that Instagram account, at Clemson Sports. And then the little underscore sign there on the Instagram account. Speaking of watching games, last weekend, Henry was asked to expound upon that and whether or not he kind of locked in on anything.
Yes, I am a football fan through and through, on and off. Wasn't necessarily glued to the TV. I do love relaxing on my weekends, but at the same time, just to turn it on and get to see some football was one of the best feelings I had in a very long time. Definitely getting to see some of the league opponents, Florida State, North Carolina, were great to see. But yes, just like you said, just being able to watch football again. I know the fans were excited, starting the home gate, tailgate, whatever. Just that environment, that spirit. We all know it's the best time of year, and just glad it's back.
So KJ Henry there, just talking about kind of what you were doing a week ago, but of course his father was a football coach collegiately, and his dad, of course, dealing with some um, some issues right now, some health issues, and we certainly send our thoughts and prayers to his father, and also I saw on social media that T. Higgins' father passed away, I believe, yesterday. So thoughts and prayers to the Higgins family. T. Higgins, what an incredible football player he was during his time at Clemson, and what a job he's done now with the Bengals there in the NFL. Two touchdowns in the Super Bowl this past year. And I saw a tweet, whether it was from maybe a teammate, not necessarily a Clemson teammate, maybe a teammate with the Bengals or somewhere else. Somebody said, to think about his dad got to see his son score 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl before he passed away. Again, that's just an incredible moment for you as a human being, given that the NFL and the Super Bowl is the pinnacle of the pro sports world, more so than the NBA Finals, more so than the World Series, more so than maybe the World Cup on the international scale, but in America, the top event, the Super Bowl, easily the top event. Speaking of the Super Bowl, of course, Clemson's got several key players from last year's team that have made their way into the NFL, and we mentioned some of the cuts that took place yesterday, including James Skalski and Nolan Turner. Turner expected to be picked up by the Buccaneers on their practice squad, but just in the sense of the changing of the guard on that defensive side of the ball. And additionally, a guy like Brent Venables going to Oklahoma, and now Wes Goodwin taking over that side of the ball. Here's KJ Henry, now that we're getting this close to kickoff of the college football season, talking about how this defense has improved from 1 year ago.
Whole lot of new, like you said, new coordinators, new roles for different guys, people growing, people developing. It's been fun. It's been fun to navigate that space as a fifth-year guy. It's very easy for a lot of people in my situation to say, "Oh, this year's about me," and now it's just time to get mine and get out of here. But that's so far from what it's been. It's been so fun to navigate this leadership role and really trying to just hone in this new defense, new identity. With also some of the same things that Clemson defense is known for, fast, physical, tough, and dominant, and that's what we still plan to be. So it's been a fun challenge, but at the same time, it's been fun more than anything. And Wes and Coach Khan have been awesome. They're listening to us, and more than anything, they just want to win. They want to win and dominate, and that's what we want to do as players. So being like-minded in that regard, it's been fun to attack each day, especially at practice.
KJ Henry there talking about this team, and I want to come back to that in a second, but James drops by and says, "Let's go." Game week, James. Game week. So looking at or listening to, I should say, KJ Henry and what he had to say there, there's probably one piece of this that we have not brought up enough, and we'll hear from Wes Goodwin in a little bit, but I've tended, and I think cautiously, I've tended to lean in on, well, there are, one brick doesn't make a house. You've heard that from me. I don't think one victory over Iowa State a year ago is going to necessarily determine what Clemson becomes this year defensively. But one thing I haven't brought up, and I think it is fair to recognize, and we've kind of touched on the reverse of this a little bit with Dan Lanning at Oregon taking on Georgia, and you feel like, okay, well, even though there are a bunch of new parts there, Dan Lanning should know a lot about this Georgia defense and where the Oregon Ducks should best attack them, or where their vulnerabilities are, perhaps in scheme and movement and flow, and the way they maybe drop players through, say, a zone. So if you turn it to Wes Goodwin for a second, and you take away the belief that this learning curve is just immense for him, and you say, okay, well, if you're an offensive coordinator and you've got to go against him, the amount of film you have on his tendencies, there's probably a book from here to Bangor, Maine, filled with Brent Venable's tendencies. And you could fit the tendencies of Wes Goodwin, into a small notebook at this point. I forget what you call those notebooks that teachers always make you get. I never could stand those. What were those notebooks called? Not a Trapper Keeper. Anyway, like the science notebook. Yeah, I hated those things. Nonetheless, there's not much on Goodwin. So maybe he is in the advantageous position by you don't really know what his grand tendencies are. You might have some clue. Paul dropping bombs. That's a serial notebook, Swanee. Paul, 1,000 points to you. Spend them as you will. I'm not going to tell you they're worthless, Paul, because they mean something right here in your heart. Thank you, Paul. Exactly. Not the spiral, the other ones. Not the spiral. I think you got it. I think it's now you got me wanting to dig it up just to make sure. Oh, man. They've got the black and the white. They look like a cow. The cow notebooks. Composition notebooks. All right. Paul, I'm not going to take the 1,000 away. I'm going to let you keep the 1,000 points just for participating and trying to help us. So you keep those points and you give them away as generously as you want to whomever you want. All that being said, there's not much out there in the sense of who, Wes Goodwin is. Now, two guys that people want to know about, DJ Uyunglele, for sure, and perhaps even more on Wes Goodwin. We're going to hear from DJ. We're going to hear from Wes Goodwin. And so we'll find out what their thoughts are as Clemson closes in on kickoff of their opening matchup of the season, as your Tigers head over to Atlanta to take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Of course, that game coming up on Monday night. Programming note, for those of you listening on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio 1400, we will be off the air on Monday for Labor Day. There will be a national show on. Okay? So when you tune in on Monday, because you'll forget by then, perhaps, don't feel like what happened to Swanee. I am okay. I am merely on a break for Labor Day, and we'll be back on Tuesday to recap Clemson and Georgia Tech. So there you go. All right, when we come back, we'll hear a couple more comments from KJ Henry. Then we'll dive into DJ Uyunglele. Coming up in hour 2, hopefully we'll get caught up with our buddy John Blau from the Post and Courier as well. With a quick break, we'll come back with more Clemson Sports Talk right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, everybody, we are in a quick commercial break here. Don't fret. Oh, that stinks from me. So KJ Henry's audio. Dag nabbit. I knew something bad luck would happen today. Why would that not record? Now Swanee's got to think. It played. Oh, dang. It did record. Just didn't record on both channels. That is really weird. All right. So that's not as bad as I thought. Not as bad as I thought, I don't think. Could have been worse, people. Could have been a lot worse. Now I just got to figure out how to fix it. Dang. Ah, what a pain, man. Really? What a pain. What time is it? 3:42. Okay. Come on now. Why? Oh man, this is not good. Bad luck. Okay, hold on. Here we go. In 10 years of doing the show on the radio, almost 10 years, this has happened one other time. This. Effects. Channel mixer. Swap stereo to midside. Swap left and right. I want to swap. I want them to be the same. Fill. Oh, okay. Fill right with left. Fill left with right. Oh, baby. Let's go. Let's go. We're back. Mortimer, we're back. All right. Phil. All right. How to do that? Okay. Bex. Amplitude. Behind the scenes, peeps. Channel mixer. Fill left with right. Apply. Let's go.
To watch football.
Yeah. All right. That makes me happy. What a pain. All right. Sorry. That's going to make this break a little longer than I would like, and that's not good. Because now I really got to hustle. I was trying to start early today. Hope everybody's doing good. All right. There we go. Boom. First segment done. Save it. $46. All right. Yeah, I just got to do a couple more things. We'll be going. Let's see. So, that was stressful. Your boy Swanee doesn't get stressed much, but I got stressed right there. I can't play any music for y'all right now because I still don't know when StreamYard's music that they have the rights to is not going to be banned by wherever, Facebook or whoever's banning it. I talked to them about it. I think I told y'all that. I talked to them about it, and they were like, "Look, we're gonna fix it. You should be good." But I'm not risking it for the biscuit yet. One of these days I will, but not this week. All right. One. There we go. And all right, here we go. Coming back. Back at it, rolling along on a Wednesday afternoon. James says, I got too many toys. I don't know, James. I'm trying, man. That was tough. So for those of you on the radio, here's what was going on. The audio was on one channel in the in the audio that we did with KJ Henry, and had to get that all squared away. And that was not easy. There are things that I do here that I could probably do with my eyes closed. And then there are moments like that where it was kind of honestly a little bit of pressure. 803-450-0086 text line and phone line. Again, you can be a part of this program anytime you want to, and we really appreciate it when you hang out with us and when you chat with us and when you kind of keep us locked in on what we're supposed to be doing. Because quite frankly, one of the reasons I like doing the show with you guys here, hanging out with us, is you keep me on my toes. And sometimes old boy like Swanee, sometimes I need to be on my toes. We heard from KJ Henry just a little bit ago. And I tell you, man, what a leader. Had a chance to talk to him at the ACC kickoff. Here's a young man who bided his time, stuck around, kept fighting. And, this year they are so deep. I mean, it is ridiculous. He talked about Justin Maskell. We did get a chance to hear from Maskell as well today. And Justin Maskell is not necessarily a name that's going to jump off the page for some people. But the thing about Justin Maskell is much like Henry, work for the opportunity. Xavier Thomas is out, and it's going to open up a spot for him. And it doesn't sound like there is a whole lot of concern about Maskell and his playing time, or how much time that that he will play. So, to be quite honest with you, that's a huge positive. Even though it's one of the deeper positions we went through yesterday and talked about all those ors, but when Maskell's getting some run and some love from the team and the coaching staff, that's exciting. That's exciting for a guy that's just stayed the course, man. Just stuck it out. All right, so I kind of noted here on the program the other day, I think the biggest pressure point for DJ Uyunglele this season is you. And I am probably talking specifically to you. I think it's the fans. And I've seen it for years, and I think you're going to see it very quickly this season for DJ Uyunglele. And that is the fans quickly wanting Cole Stout. And it's twofold that kind of has built this issue. Number one is your expectations are through the roof. And it's number two, you saw last season's lackluster performances from DJ. And because of that, all offseason, there's been this clamoring for the next guy, the next guy. And remember, when DJ committed, can you think, if you just think back to Death Valley, ironically, the 50-yard line, when he committed, the excitement, the exuberance that Clemson Tiger fans had thinking that their next just incredibly talented weapon was arriving and that there was no slowing them down. It was DJ to Trevor to excuse me. It was Deshaun to Trevor to DJ. That's hard to do. That's hard to do for whatever reason. And so you thought, and maybe rightfully so, that, hey, this thing's not slowing down. And then last year, the big backslide that you felt. And so the place where he stood and committed and you cheered and were so excited about him arriving is the very place where I think he's going to feel the most pressure every ball game. It's at home and in the middle of the field when the fans are around him watching his every move and his every mistake and amplifying them to the nth degree. Fair? I don't know. I'm not the guy that ended up getting a deal with Dr. Pepper and Bojangles in an era where NIL came up, and that changed how people feel about you pretty quickly. Is that fair to the players? They now have this opportunity and people feel differently about them? It's really not. It's not their fault these things happened. It wasn't the 2022, 2021 recruiting class that initiated this. This happened years ago and worked its way up to this point. But here is, and again, we got a chance to talk to DJ. If you want to go see the exclusive ClemsonSportsTalk.com one-on-one with him at the ACC kickoff. But here is what KJ Henry said DJ Uyunglele has in terms of the respect from his teammates.
Great point. It wasn't all on him. And the thing is, the locker room knows that. A lot of the fans don't. But he's done a great job of just taking that on the chest. And that's the leader. That's the leader you want to see in a quarterback. That every team wants to see in their quarterback. And I think that's probably the number one reason is he's going to take the bullet for us, as a team, especially as an offense. But it's not always on him. And when you're that wide receiver, you're that offensive lineman who's made that mistake, and you see someone else take the blame, that's like one of the worst feelings in the world for any player. Is I've made the mistake, but someone else has to take the blame for me. Not only do you have that respect for that said player, but you want to fix that so it never happens again. And I can say as an offense, having to compete versus them every single day, that's been the mindset. Is like, we gonna handle ours. And, just like DJ has one position on the field, that left guard, that left tackle, that wide receiver, that tight end, their job is just as important. And I think they've done a great job of, number one, as an offense, just understanding that how the importance that comes with each position. and then at the same time, just having that mutual respect for what the quarterback has to do and has to represent each week. So DJ's done a great job, and he's one of those guys, obviously, who I would say has done much better and become a better version of himself in the offseason.
There's KJ Henry again talking about DJ Uyunglele. He was also asked about what he's seen from Clemson's starting quarterback. We'll get to that when we come back. Plus, we'll hear from DJ Uyunglele himself right here on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. All right. At least now, this whole fixing this audio issue for the internet, I mean, for the radio show is not bad. I would like to know, though, if you're listening, for you guys, is it only playing on the right side of your computer? So strange. The good news is the fix is now set up, so it doesn't take me but a split second. Whereas before, the first time I was a little nervous, honestly. All right, getting ready to come back. And by the way, we will this show will drop off, and then we will re-rack hour 2 of the program. So it'll be 2 different hours here. So come join us, man. We've had it in the past. Hard to hear, KJ. Yeah, I think that's coming through. It's coming through one channel. Yeah, I think, and yeah, I'm not sure why it's like that. I guess Clemson recorded it on one channel. That's not your boy Swanee's fault, believe me. But it should sound good on the radio, so that's a positive. All right, here we go. Clemson Sports Talk on a Wednesday afternoon, 803-450-0086. Games tomorrow all across the board, man. So many games taking place tomorrow on Thursday, and then some games on Friday, and, of course, the big slate on Saturday, and then you lead up to Clemson and Georgia Tech on Monday, which would be a lot of fun. 803-450-0086. So before the break, you had a chance to hear from KJ Henry talking about DJ Uyunglele. Here's what Henry had to say on what he has seen specifically from DJ, just in terms of this season.
You know, what the fans love to hear, he's definitely moving better. Being a guy who's had a leg injury as well, I understand that, that ability to not mentally be there as far as confident and a said injury. That's real struggles as far as like wanting to be the best on the field and compete to a certain standard, but understanding that that's not the same. You don't have the same body that you used to have. And for him to be held on that pedestal in that limelight and not have the same, body and be able to function the same way, that's a very tough mental battle to have to go through. And so I'd say first thing is he's just moving better. He's confident in his body. He's confident in the way everything feels. He's older, so the offense is, more his. But from a leadership standpoint, from, a guy who sits beside him every day, to his freaking neighbor, his brother, I just love, the person he's become. As simple as, just being in the front of the team meetings. That's not necessarily what he's always wanted to do, but he understands what's needed for this team is to see him in a role that just lead us, bro. And lead me. He's younger than me, but I'm 100% behind whatever he wants for this team. because he's made it the right thing. So being an older guy, I just love who he's grown into as a person more than anything, in his faith. Handling adversity of everybody on the outside. He's done a great job for someone who's freaking not even 22 yet. You can't really teach that. That's just kind of God given, and he's definitely inspired me. How he's handled it all.
So there you go. KJ Henry again talking about DJ Uiagalelei. 803-450-0086. If you miss any of this audio, it will all be up on ClemsonSportsTalk.com and on our YouTube page, which is tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV. All right, so DJ Uiagalelei, the man you just heard KJ Henry talking about glowingly. DJ sat down with the media today as well, again after fall camp in preparation for this matchup with Georgia Tech. And here's how Clemson's five-star quarterback coming out of high school here's how DJ, that's tough too. Here's how DJ says he's feeling physically and mentally heading into the season.
Whenever you're ready. DJ, you obviously look different than you did this time a year ago. How do you feel mentally, physically as we get ready to open the season?
I feel really good, man. Mentally, I feel really good. I feel like my head's in a good spot right now. Physically, my body feel 100% healthy. I feel good, man. I feel ready to go, sir.
So DJ Uiagalelei saying there he feels ready to go. He was also asked about how he felt watching film last year. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. How he felt watching last year's film. They're two totally different things, right?
What's it like watching some of this film back? Like, obviously, you're preparing for Georgia Tech. Part of that film study is going to be your game last year against them. What's it like watching that back and maybe seeing, coordinators have talked about the fundamentals that maybe have just improved or have improved quite a bit this year. What's it like for you to watch that back?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Watching the game back, there's definitely a lot of mistakes that I wish I would have done better. And fundamental-wise, there's different plays in the game, decision-making, going back on it. It's always good to watch, see the different mistakes. I also see the stuff that he did good in the game. There's a lot of stuff I did good. I thought I did good in the game, and there's also things that I messed up on. But I think that's just part of every single game. You always go see the good, you always go see the bad. So I think just learning from it and just going to it and just thinking about it, like there's different ways I can get better from it and just applying it to the practice field.
How different?
DJ Uiagalelei there. And for those of you watching the show today, you're going to see how the sausage is made for sure here in a minute, especially if you tune in to catch the program on Fox Sports Radio 1400 and on the iHeartRadio app. DJ was also asked a question about how he sees himself versus the way he saw himself maybe a year ago, now that he's had a chance to mature, as you heard KJ Henry mention earlier.
How different do you see yourself, though, when you're watching that film versus maybe some of your practice film that you're watching now? Do you still feel like you look like the same quarterback but with tighter fundamentals, or do you see a kind of a totally different guy out there now?
I think I see a totally different guy. I think a guy that's a lot better than from the last game in Georgia Tech, someone that's gone through it, and someone who's gotten a lot better throughout the offseason, through all the hard work I put in. I definitely see a different quarterback. Yes, ma'am.
We've heard from a lot.
So there you go, DJ Uiagalelei again up in Clemson today. And I know, man, I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you why. I wish I could tell you why that is why that channel is the way Clemson's running it. One side on the audio. That doesn't make any sense. 803-450-0086. And I do not have really a way for those of you watching live to change it that I'm aware of. I'll tell you what I will do, though. I will talk to the engineer extraordinaire John Merriam to see this. There's one switch here. I'm gonna try. I might try this and see if it sounds better for you guys listening online right now versus everybody streaming it on iHeart. So I will make that change in this next break. I'll tell you what. That's what I'll do. And we'll see. We'll see if DJ sounds any better. We'll have him come back and talk about the chemistry that he's got with his center there, Will Putnam, right after this. All right, behind the scenes, yeah, that audio is not great. So, not a whole lot Swanee can do. I'm just going to fix it. From DJ, just in terms of this season.
You know, what the fans love to hear.
All right, so that's KJ. Crazy I'm having to do this. All right, KJ's done. DJ, good gracious, couldn't hardly hear him at all. And they had the questions in there.
Whenever you're ready. DJ, you
I feel really good.
Apply. Now delete. Cut. All right, amplify DJ by about 6. See, now y'all are getting to see the. This is what I was talking about, the sausage right here.
I feel really good, man. Mentally,
I bet you
I
can
feel
hear
really
him
good.
now. Well, that's the fun part, right?
How different?
There's a show I used to listen to.
For me, just flying to the practice field.
How different?
There's a show I listened to called the Tech Guy Podcast. This is actually why I started doing this, okay? And during his show, you kind of get the same type of thing. And I always found it interesting.
Protect part of that film.
I guess I could come back and let you guys at least see me doing the sausage making here. I don't know if that's exciting or not. Don't put your ear up on the phone to hear DJ. Sorry, did I get you? Yeah. Sorry about that. All right.
I'm just thinking about it like this is different.
We've talked about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now watch this, Lint. Now here's what else you guys are going to get to see. So how he two totally different things, right? I used to.
What's it like?
I used to kind of fear doing this kind of stuff while I was live with you guys, but now I just realized, you know what? This is the way it is. If
We've heard from a lot.
See a different quarterback.
we're gonna do the show live online, and still pop it into the system the way I have to, then this is the way it's gonna be. Gonna be just a little. This part will be just a little bit different than the other, but I'm okay with that.
How different do you?
Oh God,
I think I see.
who matched that audio up, man? How do you not have the questions cut out? KJ Henry mentioned earlier. All right.
I think I see.
Now what? Now this is the weird part for you guys watching the video. With his center there, we'll put back and talk about. We'll see if DJ sounds any better. We'll have him make that change in this next break. I'll tell you what. That's what I'll do. And we'll see. We'll see if DJ sounds any better. We'll have him come back and talk about his relationship with center Will Putnam, which should be a lot of fun. Again, the continuity on that offensive line, Blake Miller at right tackle. And, of course, that's allowing Walker Parks to move in to that guard spot. But Will Putnam at center, going to be a focal point for DJ and a confidence booster there, that leader on the offensive line. We'll hear from DJ Uyunglele on that front when we get back. And don't forget, hour number 2, John Blau from the Post and Courier joins us along with audio from both Clemson coordinators, as we'll hear from Wes Goodwin and Brandon Streeter right here on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. Again, you want to be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere, 803-450-0086. We come back. We hear a little bit more from DJ. Then we head to hour 2. Stay with us. See, you just got to see the sausage there being made behind the scenes. Can't allow the world to know that we just did that. All right. Speaking of sausage, how about check out our friends over at Kaufman's Beating Place, huh? There you go. Ooh, right there. Kaufman's.com. Little Insta commercial here. I drag that file in. I got one thing to do. We'll knock out hour 1. Oh, come on. The other day, let me tell you what happened. So the other day, I got to this point. I had like 5 minutes left until the segment that needed to be uploaded. And the processor on the machine at iHeart went out. Like how? It's Murphy's Law. And fortunately, my man John was able to get me squared away. John, the engineer. And I told him, I said, well, I tried this, and then it started working. He was like, yeah, just believe that. I had to reset it. But if it makes you feel better, yep, you got it working. I was like, well, thanks. It does. All right. Now, I'm going to try to switch one thing on this channel for DJ's audio. And I have no idea if it's going to... I know it's not going to change for my recording purposes, but it may change for what you hear. It may also make it where you don't hear anything from DJ. I guess if it shows the wrong, like if it flip-flops the wrong side. So we're going to find out in a second. Actually, we'll do it during the break. That way I don't really mess it up. All right, what's segment 3? Okay, come on. All right, so let me go back to the comments. Yeah, I fixed it now. Yeah, it sounds great now. Exit. Okay. So here I got 2 settings. I can send it to you in mono, which should play both channels on both sides. So let's see, instead of stereo, it'll play one channel on both sides. But if it's the wrong channel, then you might not hear anything. All right, so let me make this change. Sending. That should be you guys. Mono. All right, recording mono. I don't know. All right, let me play DJ and we'll see. Do you guys hear this on both channels or one?
A lot of different people about the different areas across the offense that have put in a lot of work and improved or made some tweaks or made some changes. It's not just you that has made these leaps and bounds. Can you speak to the quality of the offense and where you guys are now heading into week 1 versus where you were last year?
Now that's recording on both channels for me.
Mindset, maturity, whatever it is.
Which that's a positive.
That stands out to you.
I think like you said, I think not just me, but I think everyone on this whole team, not just.
So I'll just do that. You guys should be able to hear it better, right?
Work this summer, this spring, have all tried to get better and definitely gotten better on offensive side.
I think that probably made DJ sound twice as good at least. All right, here we go. Get my flashy intro, as John in Archdale, North Carolina thinks. John, man, love you. Rolling along, and I am not the engineer extraordinaire. I am not even the producer extraordinaire. I guess I'm the host extraordinaire, but I know enough about producing and engineering that I think I may have figured out our little problem for everybody watching the stream. I think I've got it where it sounds, Linda says way better. James says better. Your boy Swanee. I should be getting paid triple to do this. I'm doing everything. 803-450-0086. So speaking of doing everything, one of the things I like to do after the show is I listen to podcasts myself. And I also listen to audiobooks, and I'm wrapping up. I am wrapping up John Feinstein's book on the what's it called? The Legends Club. It's on Dean Smith. It's on Dean Smith, Coach K, and Jim Valvano. It's great. I found this out today. I didn't know this. Dean Smith, in the last 30 years he coached at North Carolina, in that league, in the ACC, as tough as it is, they never finished worse than third. 30 seasons. The final 30 years he coached, never worse than third. That's impressive. But if you are a fan of the show Sopranos, which I've seen twice all the way through, I still rank it as one of the best series I've ever watched. If you're a fan of the Sopranos, I did find this one. The Sopranos, Talking Sopranos podcast. And it's Michael Imperioli and Steve Sharippa, or however you say their names. I don't know. It's Christopher Moltisanti and Bobby Baklava, or whatever his name was. And they do a show, 91 episodes, one episode per show. I want you listening to this show, but then when you're done with this show, you listen to that show if you're a fan of The Sopranos. 803-450-0086. All right. I mentioned DJ Uyunglele. I mentioned the chemistry of Will Putnam. Here is Clemson's quarterback talking about that exact thing on the Wednesday edition of Clemson Sports Talk.
We just talked to your new center. How much of chemistry have you built with Will on the field, and what's your relationship with him off the field?
Will, man, he's a super cool dude, man. He's a good guy. First and foremost, he's an unbelievable athlete, great player as a center, but he's an even better person. He's just a cool dude. I hang out with him off the field, along with other linemen, but he's just a cool guy to hang out with. He's a funny guy, has a big personality. And then on the field, he's a smart player, physical guy. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and he's a good leader for the offensive line, being that center. You also have J-Mac as well, but being that center, he's real vocal. He knows exactly what to do out there, and he does a really good job around the offense, around his offensive linemen as well.
And so that's what I was saying. When you talk about like Will Putnam, when you talk about this Clemson Tiger offensive line, it's going to come down to communication up front, and I think creating confidence for Blake Miller. I think Blake Miller being anchored on the interior to a degree by Walker Parks will give him some confidence. I think that, from that standpoint, he's probably more apt. And again, from all we're hearing about him, just incredibly talented. But I think he's going to be more – I think he's going to have a tendency to either A, try to guide defenders extremely wide, but maybe err on the inside and hope that there's maybe a little help in some situations from a guy like Walker Parks. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. John Blau from the Post and Courier coming up on the program in just a little bit. But I mentioned Justin Maskell out of the gates here. And Maskell also had a chance to sit down with the media today, and it's rare that we get to hear from him. But KJ Henry had called him Dr. Strange, and Maskell said they call me that. And obviously, I guess that goes back to the Marvels thing, but said they call him that because of some of the strange things that have happened when he's on the field. And here's some examples, according to Justin Maskell.
Really, I like to go back to the Iowa State game. Feel like that was like a really big moment, a turning point in the game. Getting that batted ball, and Rio coming up with the play, and then coming back down and making a block so that Rio can make the play. It's just, I feel like those are just really like big key moments. A really big key moment that took place. I feel like that's why I call it that strange.
And so, of course, he's talking about there the batted ball, Mario Goodrich, the interception return. He picks up a key block for him. and just kind of a part of that. And it's great to hear a guy that hasn't had the limelight placed on him, but still very much invested in the team in an era where when you're not the guy, everybody packs up and takes their stuff and goes home, transfers to another school. Here, before we get out of here in the bottom half of the hour, here is Justin Maskell talking about Blake Miller and what Miller brings to the table.
Blake Miller is definitely a competitor. I feel like in the spring he just had to learn a little bit more. But cool guy, great player, physical. He's not going to back down from anybody for sure. And I could just see how he just handles meetings and his preparation. He's definitely going to be a big piece.
Justin Maskell, big words there on the freshman right tackle, Blake Miller, out of Strongsville, Ohio. I think if you're a Clemson fan at this point, that's got to make you feel a lot better about this offense because of the fact that there seems to be a confidence that maybe you haven't heard from these guys in a while. And I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing, how this team plays. I will say this, Clemson in some books is a 22-point favorite. I didn't take them to cover. They could beat Georgia Tech 56-14, but I got to see the offense be the offense that I think it can be before I lean in on a big spread like that. Hour 2, John Blau joins the program. Do not miss it. If you're watching the show live, we will be back with a separate feed. So hop back in and join the program. Stay with us.